Hi, my name is Olivia. I've landed just in time to catch another segment of Daily AI Prompts for Job Seekers with William Craig III. Today, Mr. Craig will be demonstrating another powerful prompt to help us use AI effectively in our job search. I can't wait to see what he's going to share with us. And the best part is, I can watch the replay on his LinkedIn profile or his YouTube channel at Get Up and Get a Job. Okay, fasten your seatbelts. Mr. Craig is about to take off.
All right, thank you so much. Welcome back to those of you who have been following the series, either in person or by watching the replays. And a warm welcome if this is your first time joining. This is Daily AI Prompts for Job Seekers, and I'm William Craig III, an AI business and career strategist. Now, in today's segment, I'm going to show you how to win at office politics and not lose your soul. Oh my goodness. Look, if you're new to the series, I have a clear mission to help you move beyond overwhelm and into action. Oh my goodness. Look, the fact is there are people out there who randomly put out resources with hundreds and hundreds of AI prompts. They're well-meaning, but sometimes too many prompts can actually be paralyzing. So Daily AI Prompts for Job Seekers is focused on giving you just one powerful, practical prompt each and every day. No matter how long you've been unemployed, underemployed, or maybe you're just unhappily employed. My goal is to help you run your job search like a well-organized job campaign, one with clarity, confidence, and strategy using AI as your job campaign manager. Look, if you've missed any of the segments, feel free to visit my LinkedIn profile to watch the replays, or better still, subscribe to my YouTube channel, please. It's called Get Up and Get a Job. Just go to YouTube, type in Get Up and Get a Job, click the subscribe bell, and you'll be notified every time I go live or share a video I believe will be of help to you. Alrighty, look, we'll get started right after this.
If you're not using artificial intelligence, you're already behind. Right now, someone with less experience than you is using AI to do a job faster, cheaper, and better. And here's the truth nobody says out loud. Most AI training, useless. It sounds smart, but leaves you stuck, confused, and still doing everything manually. Every day you wait, you're losing time, opportunities, and money, because the rest of the world, they're not waiting. They're automating, scaling, earning. That's why we created Free AI University. No fluff, no theory, just real systems you can use today. Plug-and-play prompts, step-by-step trainings, tools that help you earn faster, smarter, and get results by the end of the week. And you won't be doing it alone. You'll be surrounded by people just like you, taking action and sharing wins. Take my advice. Go to freeaiuniversity.com. Create your free account. Because this shift is happening with or without you. If you're ready to win, go to freeaiuniversity.com.
All righty, and let's see here. I want to say hello to the folks who are making themselves known in the comment section, and that would include John Werner. Hey, John, glad you're with us today. Hi, William and everyone. Happy Tuesday. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Looking forward to today's segment on crafting a strategy to navigate office politics. So glad that you're with us. Thanks so much for the shout out, John. Look, Shelly is with us. Shelly says, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to you too, Shelly. Glad you're here. And hey, Dawn Lewis is with us. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope your Tuesday is going well. Hope yours is too, Dawn. Thanks so much for sharing time with us today. And we've got Helen Harrell in the building, the virtual building, that is. Have a terrific Tuesday, she says. And we want the same for you. Thanks so much. So let's get into our prompt today, because our prompt is special. You know, I got to be honest with you. The whole office politics thing really hasn't been something that I've done well with over the years myself. And so it's difficult to understand sometimes who's zooming who, who's in charge, who's in control, who makes the decisions about this, that, or the other. And you need to know these things. So our prompt says, create a stakeholder map for Mary, for you, for a company-wide initiative. list roles, influence level, and preferred communication style. We've covered this a few weeks back with communication styles. Identify the 3 influence levels every organization has and how to identify each, as well as the ethical approach to political strategy that earns respect, not resentment. There are these people who will trample. I mean, they will just outright destroy other people to get to whom they want to get or to get where they want to get. That's not how we're going to operate. We're going to operate in integrity. All right, so let's see what ChatGPT has to say to help us with this idea. And in the meantime, we're going to contribute to our organization. So let me ask you something. Have you ever had a great idea, but it stalled because the right people weren't aligned? Oh my goodness. I'm going to tell you, I went around someone to get to the right people because I knew if I shared it with them, they were going to shut it down. So I knew who the right person was, and I went around and went to them. Now, mind you, here we go. They called me on the carpet over it, but they couldn't be but so mad because I had the solution. And again, I already knew that the person between me and the right person was not going to have it, or they were just going to take it as their own. And so anyway, at the end of the day, though they called me on the carpet, it was more like now don't ever do this again. And they used my idea. It actually saved that agency. I'm not going to name any names. But at the end of the day, I did that for a company once many years ago and put out a press release. Now, I would never do this today. But I was young and I was hungry, as Les Brown likes to say. And I put out a press release. And guess what? Company stock went up like 2 points, right? It was a big deal. And once again, they were upset with me because I should not have done that. But they were happy because stock actually performed better than it had been performing like in a while. And out of that came a relationship that actually blessed me so that I was able to do some independent work on my own as a result of actually someone in Japan seeing the press release that I put out. And so anyway, I'm not telling y'all to go and do crazy stuff like me, all right? But I am telling you that there is a way to do it. All right, so here we go. Come on now. In any company-wide initiative, success isn't just about the plan, it's about the people. If Mary can see the landscape clearly, she won't just execute, she'll lead. And that's what we want to do. We want to show ourselves as leaders, even as if we're, as the book says, leading from the second chair. Great book, Leading from the Second Chair. All right, so let's map this out. Mary's stakeholder map, company-wide initiative, executive leadership, C-suite, VP level. Influence level, high. They are decision makers for sure. What do they care about? They care about the return on investment, the ROI. They care about the risk. They care about alignment with strategy as well as speed. Preferred communication style, concise, results driven, data plus outcomes, not the details. Eventually, we'll get to the details, but initially, they want to know, what does the data say, and what are the outcomes we can look forward to? And you will communicate with them via executive summaries, dashboards, or maybe a couple of slides to give them a brief overview. So here's how Mary would engage. She would lead with impact. Here's the business result. Here's the risk. Here's the decision needed. Here's what I need you to do, Mr. or Ms. Executive Person. Senior management, directors, department heads. Now, these are the folks who are really going to start walking stuff out for the upper echelon within the company. Influence level, high to medium. They are translators of strategy into action. So when you make that presentation, when you make that suggestion, they're the ones who are going to say, well, you know, Bob, you know, Jane, the thing we were talking about a couple of weeks ago and where we were stuck and the bottleneck that was created, this might be the thing to help us get unstuck or clear the bottleneck. What they care about, execution. How are we going to get it done? How is it going to impact the team? What resources are we going to need to make this happen? Their preferred communication style, structured discussions. They want to sit down, they want to hear the details. They want clear timelines and ownership. Who's going to be in charge of what? Who's going to be responsible for what? As well as timelines. So if we start this on next Tuesday, 6 months from now, 3 months from now, what's going to be happening? What's going to be going on? And then the collaborative planning sessions, because we got to bring others in most cases to make this happen. Because why? This is a company-wide initiative. Position Mary is going to position herself as a partner. Here's how this supports your team. It makes you look good. That's the one question that many people fail to ask or fail to even make mention of in an interview. You would say something like, I understand that part of my role, a big part of it, is to make you look good. That's what you're saying to your hiring manager. That's what you're saying to the leadership of the company, the organization, etc. And during your onboarding, I never forget, I was being onboarded by a manager and I had questions for her, but one of the last question that I asked her was, how do I make you look good? What do I got to do to make you look good? Bottom line. So we level set right from the beginning. I know my place. All right. Yeah, I'm going to do all these wonderful things that I said I can do. I'm going to provide suggestions and all of this, but not at the expense of making you look bad. I once had a manager share with me. She shared with me, she had gone to a meeting and she came back and she called me in her office and she said, I just want to thank you. And I'm like, for what? She said, because when I go to meetings, you make me look good. Huh? Come on now. Come on. We talked about last week on Friday about doing things with excellence. Going to work, showing up, and doing things with excellence. This is what that looks like. All righty, next up, the cross-functional partners, finance, marketing, IT. Their influence level medium, but critical to the execution. See, and this is why you can't leave people out. Because what happens is, if you try and leave certain people out, what happens is the execution part can fail because you need that partner. You need those resources. So here's what they care about: workflow integration, efficiency, and clarity. They want to be clear. This is something that a lot of people miss, is clarity is king. Clarity is king. And maybe we'll do something on clarity at another time. Efficiency, we don't want a lot of waste. And how are we going to fit this in to the daily workflow? How is this going? How are we going to be able to manage this thing? Preferred communication style, practical, process oriented. So they're not as interested in the kind of pie in the sky view of, this is going to make us millions. This is going to do whatever. They want to know, practically speaking, how is this going to work? What's the process that we're going to put in place to make this work? They want to see some workflows. They want shared tools. They want access to stuff. They want to be able to try and break stuff. All righty. And regular updates, weekly touch points. In some cases, it might be daily touch points for some. But again, this is the level to which you're going to communicate. So Mary says, make it easy to say yes. Here's how this fits into your current process with minimal disruption. All righty. That's one of the things. Let me just stick a pin there and speak to the whole job campaigner part, because so often bad interviews don't happen because the candidate was a bad interviewee. Sometimes the disruption that takes place around finding a new hire is such that it creates chaos for that hiring manager. And so you got to understand that the process itself and just hiring, well, I was going to say firing somebody or whatever, but let's just say losing someone and having to replace them can be a major disruption. So let's give folks a little grace sometimes, because it's not always personal to you. Sometimes they're just having a string of bad days because of the fact that they have to go through this process at all. All righty, let's move on. Almost done. The project team, or the individual contributors, as they are called in most places, their influence level, medium to low. They're the folks who do the work. Bottom line, what they care about. They need clarity. One of the things that we do a poor job of here in the United States is helping people understand the why. We go into our jobs and there are people who tell us what needs to be done. Sometimes there are people who tell us, here's how you need to do it. But they seldom bring in the person who's going to tell you, why are we doing it? Why are we doing it this way? That's when you get those, that's on a need to know basis, and you don't need to know. We have to understand that when you give people the why, when you give them the clarity, when you help them understand what the goal is, why we're doing things this way to reach that goal, sometimes your workers will come up with ideas and solutions that either had not been thought about, had not been thought through in the same way that they saw them, and will bring the results that you desire. But because you weren't willing to hear ideas from others, you fail. I was watching a mini documentary, if you will, on it's called The Foods That Built America. And this segment was on bubblegum. Yeah, bubblegum. And not going to get into it. You can look it up, find it, watch it. But here we go. Bubblegum was a product that had failed for like over 20 years. Why? Because the original recipe made it stick to everything. Oh my goodness. It was one of those things where you had to literally use turpentine to remove it. Not really something that should go in the food aisle, right? But there was an accountant. Oh my goodness, an accountant? Really? Yes, an accountant who, having watched the experimentation over and over and over and over, had an idea to use a different solution, a different product. He added, believe it or not, latex to the formula, and boom, bubble gum was born. And of course, we all kinds of, the other thing was, why is most bubble gum pink? Why? Because that was the only color dye that they had on hand at the time. All right, true story. Anyway, I digress. No, but I hope you guys get the correlation here. We got to be open to helping people understand the why. So the clarity, the workload, the expectations, what's going to be expected of me, how much, does this mean I'm going to have to work extra hours? Just what does it mean? Their preferred communication style, direct, clear instructions. Here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to do it. And again, if you can come, my version, if you can come up with a better way to do this, let us know. Task-based updates, and then they want recognition and encouragement. Oh man, we could spend a whole session on that, but this isn't a train the trainer, train the manager session here. But so many managers fail to recognize and encourage their employees. In fact, surveys were done years ago where employees stated that they would rather have recognition and encouragement over raises. Because if there was a hostile environment that they're working in, guess what? At some point, the money doesn't matter anymore. I'm out, okay? But when I feel like I'm appreciated, when I'm recognized before my peers, that means a lot. So Mary says she's going to remove the confusion. Here's what matters this week, and here's how we win. All righty? And then you've got your external stakeholders, your vendors, and consultants, clients and consultants. They have variable levels of influence depending upon the dependency. What they care about, deliverables. Am I going to get what you told me you're going to give me, right? What I paid for, huh? How long is it going to take for me to get what I paid for? And then building that relationship trust. I can trust that if you say you're going to do something, you're actually going to do it, even if it means you got to go out of your way to do it. I had a shirt that didn't come back from the cleaners. As a matter of fact, I was at the cleaners picking up my shirts, and the gentleman said, "Oh my goodness, you're supposed to have X number of shirts. There's one missing." And he went, he looked, he couldn't find it. He asked me to come back and look. I couldn't find it, and so he called his other store, and sure enough, the plant where they do the work, sure enough, my shirt was there, and he said it'll be here tomorrow. And then he said, "Would you like me to deliver it for you? One shirt." I said, "No, that's not necessary. I can come and get it." And so here we go. When it came time to pay the bill, he gave me a deep discount. It was more than 50% off. This is my way of saying thank you for your patience and for working with us. In addition to that, they have a loyalty program. And so I still get points for my order. See, this is how you build relationship and build trust. How you communicate with these folks: professional, expectation driven. You don't talk down to them. Documented agreements and scheduled check-ins. So Mary sets the tone early. Here's what success looks like, and here's how we'll stay aligned. You give them a plan. You show them what the plan is. And the 3 influence levels that you need to know about in every organization: authority, top-down power, who they are, executives, final decision makers. You identify them by the fact that they're the ones who approve budgets. They say yes or no at the end, and others look to them before they move a muscle. If they're not aligned, guess what? Nothing's going to happen. And I've seen this in organizations. I've also seen other models, and let's see what Chat has. Middle power, managers, directors, team leads. They control resources and people. They translate vision into execution, and they can quietly slow things down or accelerate them. The truth, they determine whether strategy actually happens. And this is what I'm talking about. I've seen where top level has signed off, but because those middle level people are dragging their feet, nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. And if it's happening slowly. And then we've got the informal or the hidden power. These are the influencers, the culture carriers, the go-to people, how you identify them. People trust them, even though they don't have the big title. Your admins, for example. Oh my goodness. You don't want to cross your admins. They know everything. As the saying goes, they know where all the bodies are buried. Okay. Their opinion spreads quickly. Man, they can put the word out in on a moment's notice, and everybody across the organization knows what's happening. And when they support something, others follow. The truth, you ignore them and you'll feel resistance that you cannot explain. That's a good one. So the ethical approach to office politics, let's call it what it is: influence stewardship. How do you be a good steward of influence? Because you have influence, you just don't know it in some cases. Manipulation might get you a moment, but integrity gets you a movement. Oh, I love that. That's a good t-shirt moment right there. Manipulation might get you a moment, but integrity gets you a movement. Here's what earns respect and results: clarity over control. So many people want to be in control, got to control, the A-type personalities. I got to admit, when it comes to driving, I'm that person. I'd rather drive than be the one in the passenger seat, or definitely don't put me in the back seat. Okay. Here we go. Don't try to work the room all the time. Help people understand the why. Go back to that. Thank you, chat. People support what they understand. It could be the best idea in the world, but if they don't get it, if there's not a connection made, it's not going to happen. Alignment over agenda. Instead of publishing your idea, connect it to their goals, right? The things that I'm giving you, I believe, are connected to your goals. Why? Because in working with thousands of people, tens of thousands over the years, seeing the same kinds of problems come up over and over and over and over, the same bottlenecks, if you will, in the job search. Guess what? I'm saying, here are the things they need. Here are the things other coaches don't provide. So I'm going to fill that gap, and I'm going to provide what they need so that they can be more successful. And so here we go. This helps your team hit its targets faster. And then visibility over self-promotion. Keep stakeholders informed before they ask. No surprises equals high trust. When you're not 100% truthful, when you try to hide the facts, when you don't tell the whole story, that's a game stopper. Service over strategy. Yes, be strategic, but lead with service. How can this make your job easier? How can I make you look good? All right. At the end of the day, that's what people want to know. Consistency over charm. One great meeting won't build influence, but consistent delivery will. Oh, she's a good talker. He's a good talker, but do they actually come through? Right? Can we depend on them? Trust is built in patterns, not moments. Final word. Mary doesn't need to play politics. No, no, no. She needs to understand people, align priorities, and communicate with purpose. And that's what you want to do as well. That's leadership. It's leadership. I don't care what your title is. It's leadership. Here we go. When you know who holds the power, when you know who drives execution, and when you know who shapes perception, then you stop guessing and you start guiding outcomes. Take heart, help is here. Now, here's your next move. Have Mary list 5 real stakeholders in your current or target company and map them using this framework. And then ask, what does each person need to say? What does each person need to say yes? Answer that, and you won't just manage projects, you'll move people, and that's where doors open. And so notice, it's not just the company that you're in, but even the target companies, the companies that you're targeting, the place where you say, yeah, I think I'd like to work there. You can do this for them as well. All righty, doors are open for you. I'm going to get this into the what is this thing called? The comment section here, the comment box. And let's get the link. And got the link copied. And put this in the comments for you guys. And let's go ahead and open up LinkedIn so I can pop that in there as soon as we're done. And all righty. And so let's see what popped up. TJ Richardson came in and said, good morning, everyone. Feliz Cinco de Mayo. Hey, listen, I'm going to say this, but you know, when I sign off, I always say, pay attention to what's going on around you. Today is one of those days when you definitely want to pay attention to what's going on around you, because people are going to be celebrating in a lot of different ways. And in many cases, it involves a lot of alcohol. All right. There's my public safety announcement. All right. What else came up here? John Werner says, really appreciate how you're normalizing something many of us have avoided. This feels less like politics and more like learning how to build meaningful, strategic relationships. Could not have said it better. Thank you, John. Always appreciate your comments, but that is so spot on. And then John goes on to say, the stakeholder mapping concept is a game changer. It brings structure to something that often feels invisible and confusing. I appreciate the focus on communication styles. It's easy to assume one approach works for everyone, but this is a great reminder to be more intentional. Thank you for today's session. And then we have good stuff. Time to put more effort into influence stewardship. Thank you for another informative session, William. And you are most welcome. Thank you for sharing your comments with me. Thank you for being here. And again, I appreciate you supporting me as I support you. And here we go. Dawn Lewis says, I agree with John Werner. Well, thank you. Thank you, Dawn. Appreciate that. And look, again, these are the strategies that we got to have in our back pocket, front pocket, wherever you want to put them. But we got to use them. We have to use them in order to be successful. Look, let me get out of here. I'm talking like I got all day. We've been here a half hour already. All right. So remember, today, as you go about your day, pay attention to what's going on around you. If you hear something or see something that looks out of place, say something to someone. You might be the game changer in someone else's life as well as your own. And look, At the end of the day, there are only three things you got to remember about today. God loves you, I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone. Bye for now.
Wow, that was fantastic. I haven't been this excited to learn about something since I left basketball. Anyway, Mr. Craig did another great job of sharing an AI prompt that anyone can use in their job search. Be sure to join him every day, Monday through Friday at noon Eastern, on his LinkedIn profile or his YouTube channel called Get Up and Get a Job. You can watch the replays there as well. And while you're at it, share this information with someone you know who wants or needs a new job. I've got to run. My team needs me. But keep up the great work, Mr. Craig. You're providing a great service for the community. I'm going to tell all of my players about daily AI prompts for job seekers with William Craig III.